All right, the thumbnail on this video is actually sick. Although don't pre-order any game. It is a stupid thing to do, but it made me laugh because, I mean, look at this. This is the Call of Duty Black Ops 7 gameplay reveal trailer. It's got 239,000 dislikes on it. That is quite insane. And it's probably because of, well, like, things like this. I mean, yeah, I'm old enough to remember OG Call of Duty. I mean, that's Stalingrad. That's when you're going over the is it the Volga? The river? I think it's the Volga. You're going over the Volga to go and, like, literally die in Stalingrad. You don't even get a weapon. You got to pick a weapon up off the dead soldiers in front of you. And then this is modern Call of Duty. I have no idea what's going on. So, yeah, the trailer didn't go down very well for Call of Duty. But I will say this. You can play both games. You don't just have to hate one game and not play the other game. I do actually like playing Call of Duty campaigns. They are kind of funny. The multiplayer, though, it's never really been my thing. Anyway, well, it was back in Modern Warfare 4, of which I've actually got the original box copy of that. Sick. Also played a lot of Call of Duty 2. Anyway, let's move on. This is the big Battlefield 6 community update. It is the open beta debrief. It contains a ton of info here. So, I'm going to say this at the top of the video, but then we're going to get into detail on it. They are nerfing the shotgun, which I don't think this comes as any surprise. I think this basically equates to, like, I'm going to do some very quick, dirty maths, like maybe 1 in 15 of the kills were with the shotgun. I'll show you the stats later. You guys can work it out. I'm too stupid to work it out. But also, they're going to nerf the movement. But I've got a bit more information from one of the developers as well on this. So I don't think it's going to be as bad as it may potentially sound when I read this off. Although this is going to be a huge debate, right? Does the movement need to be nerfed? I'm kind of in the middle myself with this. I did enjoy bits of it. Although having like absolute cracked zoomers all over the place, I don't know. That ain't a Battlefield game, is it? That's Call of Duty. So I don't know. But anyway, let's get stuck into this. Hello everyone, thank you to everyone who joined us during the Battlefield 6 Open Beta weekends. Your passion and feedback have been invaluable, with tens of thousands connecting on Discord to play together, over 600,000 hours streamed and over 30 million hours watched. Your enthusiasm and participation is what made it great. Initial learnings and in-game changes. As we approach the launch of Battlefield 6 on October the 10th, we'd like to take a moment to look back at the recent open beta to share our key learnings and in-game changes we're making based on your feedback and in-game data. Weapons. We're making targeted adjustments to deliver a more consistent and rewarding gunplay experience. This includes a general pass on recoil and tap-fire characteristics across all weapons, further emphasizing their unique feel and improving range differentiation. We're also making changes to encourage more controlled tap firing and burst firing, rewarding precision and weapon mastery. Additionally, the M87A1 shotgun now requires more pellets to secure a kill. We're investigating the time to kill and time to death experiences and we will share an update if definitive changes are made in these areas. So there's a lot here with weapons. The shotgun's getting nerfed, right? This, I think, makes sense, right? There's going to be it's going to require more pellets now to kill. I think that, like, so there's a few things going on in my head with the shotgun. At close range, you should just die, right? Someone runs up to you with a shotgun and pumps you with it, you're dead, right? That should stay. The issue was kind of the range of the shotgun. It was really good at range. Now, I suppose you can argue that's kind of what shotguns are, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how to get into this debate. But in Battlefield, I don't think they should be, right? Close range, yeah, massive damage you should take. I mean, if someone's literally point blank on top of you, hitting you with a shotgun, you should probably take a lot of damage and you should probably die. But it was those, like, more medium range engagements where the shotgun was just way too powerful. So, yeah, I think this is good news, right? The shotgun was stupidly OP. But I do think it was amplified in its effect, or magnified, I should probably say, because the maps were so, I guess, claustrophobic in the open beta phases. So, you know, we're all running around close range. We're going to get a lot of shotgun kills. And as people realized this shotgun was the best close range weapon, everybody was using it. So, yeah, I kind of get that. The other thing on tap firing and burst firing, making that a little bit more powerful, I actually think that's quite interesting, because I think a lot of us, what was it? It was the M4, just literally holding down fire on this thing, and it was just like a absolute, like, laser beam, and it was just doing tons of damage, and it was just stupidly powerful. So, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see their take on that, but yeah, I think this will add complexity to the game in a good way. You've got to make that decision. Do you want to do tap fire, burst fire, or go fully auto, not just hold down fire whenever you see a target? So I think overall these sound like good changes for the weapons. So let's talk about movement. I'm going to read off what they say in the blog post, and then I'm going to show you what the developer has literally just tweeted. So, movement. Movement mechanics have been adjusted to create a more balanced and traditional Battlefield experience. Momentum, especially horizontal speed, carried from slide into a jump, has been reduced. There is now a greater penalty for consecutive jumps, which lowers jump height when jumps are spammed. Firing while jumping or sliding will result in increased inaccuracy. So that means you're going to have, it's going to be way more inaccurate, which is great. It's kind of a weird way of wording it. It's the correct way, but it just sounds strange when you read out increased inaccuracy. But anyway, that's good. These changes are designed to make sliding and jumping more situational, so they are no longer the ideal options for engaging in gunfights, and will contribute to a gameplay pace that rewards skillful movement without becoming too fast-paced or unpredictable. They also say parachute physics have also been retuned with reduced initial acceleration when opening the parachute for more controlled aerial movement. So no longer are you going to be able to just like get across the map. If you get a little bit of height, jump off a building or a bit of a hill, and you could just literally like fly across the map. It was crazy. You can't do that anymore. Okay, movement. Before I go into this, let's see what the developers say. So Florian over on Twitter says this: it's difficult to give a feel of what we're doing through a blog post, but the movement changes are far from drastic. They're very localized adjustments to specific parts of movement where things could get too extreme. We want to retain depth and skill expression with movement. Okay, so I think like there's two extremes to this, right? Okay, the Call of Duty sliding, spamming, zoomer player just all over the place doing tons of damage. They were loving the Battlefield beta, and I think it was designed for that, to pull them into the game. I was enjoying it as well. I was not doing it to the extent of those kind of players, but I did like that option of being able to slide. It did feel quite dynamic. But obviously when you really max that out, every engagement became you're sliding and shooting, and it was crazy. Like, that's not really a Battlefield game, and it looks like the developers agree with that, and they're saying no. We don't want you doing that in every single engagement. We don't want you sliding and jumping, getting that like movement boost off the slide jump, then going back into another slide and then jumping through. It was really crazy. Some of the clips were insane, but there's always going to be this argument: is that Battlefield? And it looks like the developers are saying it kind of isn't, but we still want that option there for you to slide in combat if it makes sense. Now, we're going to need to see how this plays out. Obviously, we've got Florian saying here this isn't as extreme as it maybe sounds. But again, we're going to need to wait and see. But I think the takeaway here is it is on the radar of the developers. They are saying, look, we're going to look at movement. So if you are worried that it is this hyper sort of zoomer crazy gameplay that you've seen in the beta, that is going to be tuned down. How much, we're not sure, although they're saying not by much. Again, we're going to have to wait and see on this. But yeah, there's two camps here, right? There's the people that want the traditional Battlefield experience where, you know, they are stand-up gunfights. Remember, Battlefield, it still is an arcade game. But it's like you've got that stand-up experience, literally. You know, you're not running in and sliding and blasting through windows. It isn't Apex Legends. It isn't Call of Duty. But unfortunately, Vince Zampella runs the franchise now. So, yeah. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Let's talk about maps, right? So, there are massive maps coming when the game launches. And actually, I think... oh, my days. I forget the name of the map. But the... Operation Firestorm remake is going to be playable, I think, fairly soon in Battlefield Labs, although that's all under NDA, so that can't be spoken about or shown off. But the other map is going to be available in that as well, so they're going to be interesting to check out, of course, if you've got access to Battlefield Labs. Anyway, this is what they say. Maps. We observed some players finding a way to reach rooftops and venture out of bounds. This gameplay is not intended for those maps, and the upcoming ladder for the Assault class is also not designed to access those areas. We're actively working on adjustments to prevent unintended access and ensure gameplay stays within the intended boundaries. It's going to be interesting to see how they do that with the ladder, because the ladder is going to be ripe for this kind of abuse. Like, what the hell? Also, there's a ton of YouTubers that have been making videos and all of this stuff, and it is funny to see people get in these like weird positions where they can just absolutely dominate the map. Also, like, it does make more people want to abuse that, but also I think it's a net positive because it makes the developers go, oh, look, everybody's talking about this, we've got to fix it. So yeah, I'm all for the YouTubers going out there and highlighting those kind of like map exploits, because they do need to be fixed. Anyway, We also heard strong feedback from players excited by the larger scale maps that Battlefield has to offer. While the open beta featured smaller, more fast-paced maps, larger scale maps are already part of our launch package, delivering action-packed gameplay and memorable, unique moments for every player. As part of the upcoming Battlefield Labs testing, we'll be testing 2 new multiplayer maps, one set in Mirak Valley, that's the map I couldn't remember, and the other one on the fan favourite from Battlefield 3, Operation Firestorm. These 2 maps include the full complement of vehicles, like Liberation Peak, along with more vast combat space. So, yeah, look, the map thing is going to be a debate forever because we didn't really get a chance to try any of these massive maps, and that is what Battlefield is about. That is the uniqueness of Battlefield. So, yeah, I need to play these and see what they're like. So talking of modes, and specifically talking of Rush and a bit of Breakthrough here. So when it comes to Rush, the conversation we observed wasn't just about player count, but also about how maps play and the tactical experience they offer. Rush is a game mode with deep roots, originally known as Gold Rush in Bad Company, where matches typically ranged from 12v12 to 16v16. Many of you remember this as the golden era of Rush, and it continues to inspire our approach today. Now, I'm sure probably a lot of people would be like, well, that's not the golden era of Rush, that was the beginning of Rush. Maybe the BF3 interpretation or the Battlefield Bad Company 2 interpretation was better. Well, this is all going to be subjective, and I'm sure everyone's got their own opinion. Anyway, they go on to say, we've experimented with larger player counts over the years, such as 64 and even 128 player versions. While these matches created intense, fast-paced moments, they also led to issues, overwhelming defenses, stalled front lines, and too many games ending in the first sector. Rush is especially sensitive to higher player counts due to its tactical and strategic requirements. When a player tries to arm the MCOM while more than 20 opponents are defending, the intended gameplay becomes less tangible. Based on feedback throughout recent titles, we're lowering the default player count for Rush to improve the flow of combat and restore the tactical, methodical, I should say, experience that defines the mode. For those who enjoy large-scale Rush, Portal will allow you to experiment with different player counts at launch. Right, before we go on to the breakthrough bit here, this is them saying, look, Rush is going to be smaller scale in this game, and if you want it larger scale, you're just going to have to go to Portal and find a custom game that supports more players. Yeah, like, I don't know about this. Like, my initial reaction, I actually made a video, like, I was really shocked with the state of Rush on the New York map. And I was like, as the weekend kind of went on, it didn't seem as bad as I first experienced with the number of players and, like, how cluttered the map was. Things got a little bit better, but I still don't know. I still don't think it was really giving me that Rush experience I guess experienced back with BF3 and Bad Company 2, which I know is a long time ago now, but yeah. But anyway, they're just going to keep these smaller numbers, and they're saying, look, just go to Portal if you want more players. However, let's talk about Breakthrough, because Breakthrough is arguably just a big-scale Rush anyway. Obviously, I know you're not arming MCOM stations or whatever, but it does end up with more of that kind of like stalemate frontline combat. And this is what they say with that. In contrast, Breakthrough is designed to accommodate higher player counts of up to 64 players, and that's where the mode really shines. Using win-loss data from the open beta, we're continuing to make map-by-map balance adjustments towards our goal of 50-50 win ratio for both attackers and defenders. So, yeah, I mean, Breakthrough, it's great if you want to farm kills and you're on defense, I suppose. But yeah, it was enjoyable. It was probably the... I don't know, maybe this is controversial, but for me, it was the most enjoyable mode on Liberation Peak for that map. Although that map I still don't think is a great Battlefield map overall. I'd have it like down in the bottom rankings if I was forced to rank the maps throughout the series, but you know, it's all right. They also talk a little bit about player counts. Now, at first, I was like, what? Is this like the number of people playing the game? It's like SteamDB has defiled my brain, but it's not. It's actually about the number of players in the game mode. So they say this. There was some confusion around the number of players in different games, so we wanted to take a moment to clarify our current direction for how these get determined. Rather than locking maps and modes to a fixed player count, our philosophy is to adapt to best fit the intended experience. This may vary by map or evolve over time with player feedback. For example, at launch, some Breakthrough layouts will support 48 players, while others will have 64. It is one of many factors we adjust to create the right balance and feel for each scenario. In Breakthrough, higher player counts work well on open dynamic maps, while smaller player groups offer a more focused experience on denser maps. Portal gives players the flexibility to try different settings and find out what works best for their group and playstyle. Finding the right balance is an ongoing process as everyone gets familiar with map sizes, lanes, and combat spaces. For now, we found that 8v8 provides a solid starting point for small-scale, fast-paced modes like Team Deathmatch, Squad Deathmatch, Domination, and King of the Hill. So let's talk about playlist options. Now, the easy answer to all of this is just give us a game browser. And I think a game browser is coming at some point. Some of the developers have alluded to that, but this is what they're saying at the moment in terms of just playlist options. A limited variety of playlist options were created for the open beta, both showcased and test the flexibility of the matchmaking system. For more details on our playtest adjustments, see our post about the open beta weekend 2 playlist options. Playing with both open and closed weapons will continue to be options in Battlefield 6, and we're looking for ways to keep them easily accessible. We recognise that some players experience difficulty finding games to complete the challenge of capturing sectors in Breakthrough or Rush. It wasn't ideal, and we're actively using your feedback and in-game data to review and improve the matchmaking system, with the goal of providing a smoother experience in the future. Now, of course, having filters on your automatic search, it's okay. Sometimes this would result in quite long waits. You could have like a wait over 5 minutes if you were looking for a specific map on a specific mode. You can argue this would be quicker if you just had a game browser and you could just be like, okay, I'm just filtering it by map and then I'm trying to join servers and off I go. But obviously a game browser's got a lot of other pros as well, and I'm absolutely 100% for having that integrated into the game. But I just thought it was interesting they touched on this. I think on the point of closed and open weapons, I think it's very clear that they're going for the open weapon model, probably for monetization reasons. I'm a fan of that, and I think I'm always going to be a fan of that. I did have a really good time playing closed weapons. You're actually seeing closed weapons gameplay footage in the back of this video from Liberation Peak on Medic and I think a bit of Engineer. But that does give you class identity, but I do think that the gadgets also give you class identity, and it gives you this flexibility to play different roles. Like if you're a support and you take an assault rifle or a carbine, you can be more of a close range support, whereas the LMG support is, well, more of a longer range, sort of mid-range support. So I think you've got that flexibility, or you could look at it different roles, for example. Like look at the engineer. You could maybe play like a close range combat engineer, or maybe you want to play some sort of insane sniper, engineer build. But obviously the repair tool would be the thing making you the engineer, right? And the fact that you've got access to the RPG and the Stinger and whatnot. So yeah, but this is going to be playable always in closed weapons and always, I think, primarily as the open weapons. I want you guys to let me know in the comments below what you think about this. I think it's good that both options are going to be there, but I do think open weapons is probably going to be what they're going to push forward more for. But yeah, they'll both be playable, so I guess it doesn't really matter. And finally, they say, reflecting on open beta and next steps. With the insights gathered during the open beta play sessions, we will be introducing in-game adjustments in upcoming Battlefield Labs events. Stay tuned for progress updates and future opportunities to get involved. Join our Battlefield Discord, talk more about Battlefield. Lastly, thanks again for joining the Battlefield Open Beta. Your feedback and participation made it an incredible experience. Now, in terms of how you get into labs, you have to be invited by EA. Now, obviously, for some idiot like me, it's not that difficult because if you're a content creator, generally, you've got a lot of time to play games. They want you in. They want you to, provide feedback and things like that. So it was kind of easier for, I guess, a content creator to get invited. But they do invite just normal people and players, especially, I think, players with a ton of hours on maybe older Battlefield games. They'd be looking at your old profiles thinking, we want their feedback. But also, you can just get invited. But yeah, don't ask me for details and how to get invited into that. I'm not sure. It would be nice if we got another sort of little sort of, I guess, beta weekend, but I don't think that's going to happen because the game launches in October. And as much as I need the game back, because I really miss playing it, it's not that long to wait, is it really? And then finally they end with this, right? So they got some stats here, and this is where I'm getting my, 1 in 15. It might be 1 in 12 or 1 in 11 kills with shotgun. I mean, I should have worked this out and not just trying to make this up in the video, but you can see there's 4.9 billion enemies killed, and there's 337 million kills with the shotgun. So you can kind of work out that maths there. But yeah, that's a lot of kills with the shotgun. But remember, the maps were very close range, so the shotgun, it wouldn't be as good on a massive conquest map, right? Anyway, you can see they've actually got a little note there. I don't know whether you guys can make it out, but it says tuning in progress for the shotgun, because of course we know it's going to get nerfed. But yeah, I mean, the headline stats, you've got 420 million total matches played, 92 million hours of gameplay, nearly 5 billion enemies killed, 30 million friendlies revived, which, well, there needs to be more people getting revived. I mean, if 5 billion are getting killed and only 30 million have been revived, what's going on? Assault was the most popular class, which probably comes as no surprise. Support was second, and engineer, then recon. I think like support is an interesting one for me because the fact that it's got the ammo and the health together in one, it's like maybe they should give the health back to the assault. I don't know. Anyway, they can change this kind of stuff in the future if they want. But yeah, then you can see all the kills and all of that stuff. It is cool seeing these kind of stats, and I do like seeing them. It would have been nice to have seen the total player count, but we know companies don't like to release that kind of information. But we know it's been, well, crazily successful just because of the stats we can see on Steam DB alone. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video. I'm really enjoying Battlefield. Obviously, I can't play it at the moment, but like I'm waiting for this to come back. And if I'm honest, I think it's been like a total blast from the past, from them days, them heady days back in 2011 when I was playing Battlefield 3, like literally no life in Battlefield 3. It was great. And even the years before that when I was playing Bad Company 2 like an absolute animal. I feel like this game has just completely captured that and just shoved it into a modern environment, and I'm loving it. Like, I know I'm not the guy to be talking in detail on all the other Battlefield games in between. I mean, I really need to go back and play Battlefield 1. The problem with me is there was a game called Overwatch, which came out in 2016, which did take up a lot of my time for like 8 years after that. So I've got this big gap of games that I need to go back and check out. But yeah, I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about this in the comments below, but I'm really excited for this game. I think it's really good. All right, I'll catch you a little lot on the next video. And yeah, you can follow me on everything, which is at Stylosa. And I'll see you soon.